Today, we're blind taste testing 5 different spirits. 3 of them are commercial, a standard everyday drinker, one that's basically a legend, and a third that's kind of a wild card. But 2 of the 5 spirits I made myself right here in my shed. I've roped 3 other people to help blind taste test these bourbons, ranging from I only drink bourbon with Coke up to the dude that brought the Pappy. While we're tasting, we don't know what's in our glass, but you at home will. At the end, I'm going to ask each person to rank the spirits for their personal preference from worst to best, assign a score, and see if my homemade spirits can stand up.
What makes a good bourbon?
A big corn sweetness.
Yeah, the sweetness from the corn makes a good bourbon.
Smooth, Jesse.
Unfortunately, we did Phil dirty, and we never put a mic on him. That's my fault. Sorry, Phil.
And one that lingers on your palate, I would say.
I like to have a little bit of fermentation character in it as well. Not everyone does.
Mostly related to mixing heavily with shit Coke. Am I allowed to say shit?
Like it to be big, bold, and sweet, but then I like it to be dried out by the tannins enough so that it isn't cloyingly sweet.
Bourbon for me is not a sip and analyse the nose and the back palate. For me, it's more of a send it and have a good night.
An ongoing flavour that kind of changes over time. So every time you sip it, every time you drink it, it's a little bit different.
That is yum. I think I'm going to think all the bourbons are yum.
It smells like sappy oak and apples.
Vanilla less cherry.
I'm getting a little bit of woodiness, but it's quite balanced on the nose.
No sort of fruitiness or anything really appealing.
Mediumly smooth.
Potentially lower ABV.
Up front it's a little harsh, but then it gets smoother.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So, to me, it's less oak and more pepper.
This is Maker's Mark. It's not bad.
There aren't any dominant flavors.
And it always tastes a little bit better than it smells to me. But it still has that really sappy, kind of new oak, wood chips from a workshop kind of vibe.
Yeah, but maybe sometimes you want a dominant flavor. Like sometimes you like those really like cherry-rich bourbons.
And yet something about it is comforting and nostalgic.
It has some it lingers pepper. It lingers pepper for me.
Tastes like bad decisions.
Nice, smooth. I don't really have anything else to describe it, but that's good. I like that.
Love them.
High proof for me is a night ender, like a shot of Everclear in some like real dingy pub that you don't really remember.
I tend to like bourbons lower proof. It's one of the things that surprised me about the Pappy. So I've been stupidly lucky and been able to have a bottle of 20-year-old Pappy, a bottle of 15-year-old Pappy, and a bottle of 10, which is what I brought today.
I like them from time to time.
Especially for things like this, when you're just having a little sip or you're trying to kind of compare bourbons to another bourbon. I think it's hard to beat the intensity of flavor that you can get with a barrel proof, higher proof bourbon.
Yeah, I don't normally drink high proof spirits.
I like them in the mid to upper 40s. These are slick. I really want these coins.
I'll send you home with a couple, dude.
Man.
Doesn't smell like a traditional bourbon to me.
Whoa. Okay, also very different.
It smells like vanilla.
Ooh, caramel.
This one's the darkest.
Fruity.
This smells like a granola bar, like a Cliff bar.
A little bit of corn sweetness, but there's so much more going on. And the wood's a lot more subtle than a lot of bourbons.
Not caramel.
Big, sweet, upfront, fruity, corn, vanilla.
Front end is smoother.
This one has a really nice smell, but pretty harsh up front.
I'm getting BP 91.
A little bit of the caramel prune notes.
Got more of the cherry oakiness.
Actually not as bad now, it's like still sitting there. But yeah, powerful.
But really good.
Like a chocolate oatmeal. It's an oatmeal. There's an oatmeal, like a little oatmeal brown sugar.
And then a big astringency to sort of strip it off your tongue.
Yum cherry oaky bourbon.
When Into the AM reached out and asked if I wanted to try a new product that they're launching, I almost said no, which would have been a mistake. I'm not normally a jeans guy. Every other pair of jeans I've ever owned fall into one of two categories. Either they're hard wearing, they're work pants, but they're damn uncomfortable, or I feel like I'm wearing leggings. Their new jeans are rugged, they're tough. I don't feel like I'm going to rip them or tear them by snagging them on a hose clamp. But I actually feel like I can move around in them, which is freaking awesome. If you don't know, Into the AM is our oldest running sponsor simply because they are so easy to work with. They're awesome people and they just make really good stuff. You could pair them with their classic tee, like this, that I've been wearing for the whole video, before I knew I was going to be sponsored by Into the AM for this video. Or if you want to go graphic, you could try the new Absinthe shirt that we collaborated with them on. And of course, let's not forget the safety slides. They're not from Into the AM. They are just basically a part of me. Anyway, team, if you're into any of these products and you want to check them out, there's a link in the description down below that'll get you 10% off. It smells a little bit more like a brandy.
Yeah, that one's nice.
Smells good. Vanilla, maybe some cherry.
Oaky, but not peppery.
I can smell corn, but the corn's not jumping out of me. And there is a scotch-like aspect to it.
Less of the cherry and vanilla.
Smells almost more like a American single malt to me. Definitely higher proof.
That one's peppery.
Pretty grunty. A little bit bitter. Astringent. Astringent. I think the word you said.
Touch too tannic. Sweet, vanilla, caramel, corn.
And really good flavour, like throughout.
After another couple of sips, I kind of take the tannic thing back.
Pepper wrapped in something, not sweet. Pepper wrapped in like doughy pepper, I mean, maybe it's the corn.
Orchard fruit kind of vibes going on as well. Personal tastes, this is a excellent bourbon. A huge shout out to the guys for helping me out with this, because honestly, blind taste testing anything and there's a bunch of people potentially watching you do it is kind of terrifying. So thank you guys, you did amazing.
Whoa, this is different.
It's weird, it smells like it's got something, but then it just goes to nothing.
It has almost no smell.
Smells a little bit like stainless steel.
But it's almost like a
strange.
deadness.
It's less oaky, vanilla and not a cardamom pod, but like something else like that's a sweet earthy.
And blackberries or something actually, which isn't, I don't mind that. That's kind of fun.
Interesting. It might get better if I drink more.
It's strong, so the ABV is there.
It's like salty.
It's actually got a really interesting honey sweetness up front, but the stainless is still hanging around on the tongue as well.
Oh, Reserve Jasmine on the
Tastes different than a bourbon to me.
I'm sure up front.
What does it taste like? This tastes like a young bourbon, maybe.
Have gas.
It's vanilla on the nose, but the sweetness is like an apple-y sweetness or a ginger and spice sweetness or something.
This is a bourbon I put into the lineup to see if people were full of shit and whether they were just being nice.
Not for me.
Just needs more time.
Does not taste like a bourbon to me. Hopefully I'm not offending anyone.
Traditional style bourbon.
That is more cherry on the nose.
Yeah, that one's really nice. Almost like apples.
Honey, corn, cloves.
Fruity. Maybe granola.
No pepper, no black pepper on the nose there.
Vanilla,
A little oak.
but something more fresh as well, like peaches, apricots.
Oh, I like that.
That's very complex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's changing over time, even as I'm sipping it.
Much, much smoother.
That is cherry, vanilla, charred oak.
Like chewing on toothpicks? Like in a good way.
Yep. That tastes like Kentucky bourbon to me.
Lingers nicely. Tastes good.
Sweet up front, but not cloyingly sweet. And enough tannin to dry things out, along with a little bit of black pepper, a cooking spice.
Rich. Smooth.
It's actually a little bit more delicate on the palate than what it smells like, though, which is interesting.
When I think of drinking bourbon on the front porch in a rocking chair, that's what I think of.
That one's actually really good.
After each person had tasted all 5 samples, I asked them to rank them from least favorite to most favorite before they were allowed to find out what each was. Here's a little example of how that went.
Tell me what your least favorite was, dude.
Least favorite number was, or letter, B.
That, you called it, is a super young bourbon.
Here are the overall scores for each person, which to be honest are a little tricky to interpret. Do we just add up the scores, in which case Pappy narrowly takes the lead, followed by my homemade 100% corn and the Harbinger and Makers with third equal? Or do we give it to Ironroot for being voted first twice? Then again, Pappy was in the top 2 for every single person. Personally, I think it may be smart to separate Aaron from the others simply because he seemed to mostly vote on what was smoothest, the most approachable whiskey. The Ironroot pack's an alcoholic and astringent hit, and if you're not used to that, it's just not going to be pleasant. So my takeaway is, if you value smooth bourbon more than anything, here are your winners. On the other hand, if you're used to high-proof spirits, I think I have to go with this, with Pappy being the overall winner. If you think I should interpret this differently, have your say in the comments down below.
So, what can we learn from this? First of all, I think it's important to say that it's fine to just like the whiskey you like. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're into spending more money on a bottle of bourbon that you think's amazing, yeah, some people can actually taste the difference. If you just like the standard low-proof, everyday drinker things, that's fine too. You don't have to be a whiskey snob. It's your preference, man. No one can tell you you're wrong. Only you know if you're being pretentious and wanky, following the crowd, or just actually prefer something, right? It was also super helpful for me as a calibration tool, like being in the shed by myself day in, day out, tasting things, thinking the stuff that I make is really good or really bad. I don't know, man, that's kind of scary. It would be easy to get in your own head and start to think that something's really good when maybe it's not, or be really critical of something when maybe something's actually pretty decent. So this was a really nice calibration to see that a range of different people thought that the spirit that I thought that I made that was good, and the one that I thought was terrible, they all said was terrible. It'll get better in time, trust. If either of my spirits had beaten Pappy or Harbinger, I would have been suspicious of that. Something funny's going on. But I also feel like the 100% corn whiskey I made wasn't that far behind them, which is pretty freaking exciting. So a huge thank you to the lads for helping me out. I appreciate it. Remember to check out that link for Into the AM down below, and I'll catch you next time. Keep chasing. See ya.